is your Classic Metal Show right here on the ClassicMetalShow.com. That, of course, was Exodus with Collateral Damage from Blood In, Blood Out. And a guy looking to lay some collateral damage on the studio right now, it is the vocalist of Exodus. It is the mighty Zetro. Zet, how are you, my friend?
What's up, my man? How are you? I'm good. Good to be here with everybody. How's it going?
Excellent, man. It's always excellent when there's Exodus on the radio, don't you think?
Yeah, well, it creates a little bit of an atmosphere. Like rock and roll's always been to be like kind of, rebellious and bad boy, and I think we definitely exemplify that. We definitely preach good, friendly, violent fun. It's got to be violent.
Yeah, exactly, man. Well, dude, I haven't talked to you since, at least on the radio, I have not talked to you since the record came out. So I guess that's probably a great place to start for fans that have been following along. Obviously, this was a return for you to the band, and, that came with a lot of love, a lot of hate, a lot of everything that comes with it, somebody coming back to a band. Now that it's been a couple of years, how has it gone for you? How's everybody treated you, and how does it feel being back, now that you've got a couple years under your belt back with Exodus?
I'd have to say a lot of love, very minimal, if any, hate at all.
Okay.
I mean it, just to be honest with you, and I'm not pumping it. I still get, I think it was 240-something shows the other night in Frankfurt since I've rejoined, and I'm still getting, glad you're back. It feels so good that you're back at them. I'm still hearing it every night, so I appreciate them. I'm a fan of bands like, when the inception of the band and the lineup was a certain lineup. I get that. I really do.
Sure.
I was not saying John Bush didn't do a great job in Anthrax. He did a hell of a job in Anthrax, but I love Joey singing for Anthrax,
Sure.
And For All Kings is amazing, and it just goes to show that, and it's just, I think that is kind of how the Exodus fans looked at it, the guys that they listened to, the kind of that was built on them, even though Bailoff was a very big part of the Exodus sound and the Exodus direction and the Exodus attitude. I think that, the people looked at me as like, well, that guy was kind of there. Like Paul Di'Anno was the first singer of a Maiden, but Bruce is the voice.
Right.
And I think it was kind of looked at it that way. Not saying like Blaze's records weren't good, because the records Blaze Bailey did with Iron Maiden, I think those were really dark and heavy time for Iron Maiden. And if you listen to those songs, they're good songs. And I just think that that's what you're looking for. And I think that maybe that's what happened in my case. But again, Blood In, Blood Out was a well-written and well-recorded record on everybody's part in the band, and then Jack did a great job engineering the album and getting the best out of everybody, and then, of course, Andy Sneap taking it and doing his world, and Gary and rewriting great riffs, and Tom always having that signature Exodus drum beat that, just different from it. It's thrash, but it's just got a little bit of a groove different. It's very forward and very, distinctive sound. So I think a lot of those things had it all to do with it. So definitely successful from all angles.
Very cool. And I'll tell you what, just as a fan, not as a journalist, I think one of the coolest things that you've done is that, at least on some shows that, I've seen it on YouTube or whatever, you've been willing to do at least the Ballad of Leonard and Charles, which is not one of your songs, which I think is cool as a fan of Exodus to hear you embrace that music as well, instead of just, doing the Rob Halford and pretending Ripper was never in the band type of a thing,
Exodus is a band that has a lot of different, unfortunately, member changes through it. The one solidified guy is definitely Gary Holt. But I'll say this, I always sang Paul's stuff, and it was my idea to open with Ballad of Leonard and Charles, and I do Iconoclasm and Children of a Worthless God and Good Riddance and Beyond the Pale and Death Amphetamine, so I was not opposed to singing any of Rob's songs. His era, and it was Exodus to me. And actually, out of all the Exodus songs, I listen to the Ballad of Leonard Charles more than anything. I think that he did an amazing job vocally writing, because Rob wrote that song, and I think that he really captured the Exodus essence on that song of what the band writes about, the brutality of what it is, and the riff is just monster. So I was the one that said, hey, look, we've kind of been doing Black 13 for so much, and there's a lot of markets we're going back to. What do you say we do this time and change it up a little? We'll still keep the Blood and Blood songs out there, but we'll do this, and so I was for that. So definitely something I like doing for sure.
Very cool, man. Now, when you first came back to the band in 13, I guess it would have been, did you expect it to be a long-term thing? I mean, I know when you did press that, that's the right words to say, but did you expect it to be, okay, I'm back and we're here for the next 20 years, or are you surprised at how well it's gone and it keeps on going?
Well, I think it was actually in 14, and I think me as well as, everybody who meets me on the road. I'm very honest when it comes to everything. Mm-hmm. I tell you guys how it is, if it's one way or the other, and I don't think that they intended for it to be a one. I knew I was, and I'm here for the duration, to let you know. I'm not, this is it. There will never be anybody else holding the mic unless somehow I get hit by a fucking train or something like that. I'm just, I'm very happy what we're doing again. I'm very comfortable. I welcome it and embrace the shit out of it. So it's not something that I got to a point where going, okay, this is no fun. I'm doing this is because everybody wants me to do this and I work so hard to achieve this. I'm going through the motions and I get paid well to do it. It's nothing like that at all. It's very much motivated by, because it's what is in me. It's what's always been in me. And I have to say, honestly, this has been the best time ever. Vocally, performance, everything, all the way through. A relationship with the guys, everything, all the way down. It's just been the best fun and the best everything from top to bottom. So I would only assure everyone that this will continue tenfold coming. Believe me.
Excellent. Now, you have this last round of dates here. You have, 3 or 4 dates coming up in the U.S., and then you go overseas to wrap up the year. Do we take that as finally the end of the Blood In, Blood Out and time to start working on new stuff?
Yeah, it does. Yes, it is. It is. And I'm not going to say that we're not going to do something where, if a tour comes up and because we never really headlined for Blood In, Blood Out, but I can guarantee you that we are writing new songs. After the first of the year, we have spoke with amongst ourselves, our management, our agents, and we understand the position we're in, and we know what time means and things like that, and it's all very much so. So I'm not saying it to try to keep everybody out the edge of their seat. We have to go to Japan. We're doing Loud Park, which is in between the Obituary, Prom, King Parrot, but we come home November 27th. I'm going to say people are probably going to relax through the Christmas months, but as the end of January comes around, I'm sure Tom and Gary are going to get together, and that whole process is going to start. And we really we're shooting for, next fall for it to be number 11. So, and I'm ready to work, and I'm sure everybody in the band is as well. We've discussed this already, so it's definitely something we're not going, well, we're going to try to get together. Everybody's kind of tired. We want to take some time off. This is not the time to take time off. We're playing very good together as a unit, and the music's really great now. And the other bands that are along with us in our genre are also doing so well. So I think it's something that we all need to just keep capitalizing on and keep playing. As long as you guys are there to hear it, we're going to be doing it, man.
I hear you, man. Well, dude, let me step away from Exodus just for a second here. I forget how many months ago it was at this point, but a few months ago, I'll say, we got to hear the first Zetro-less Hatriot song with Carnival of Execution. Yeah. What was your impression when you first heard not only the song, but hearing your son really capturing what you do kind of vocally?
But, because I've seen him play live a couple of times, and I made him before, because him and Nicholas came to me with, look, you're too busy with Exodus. We want to move on, and we think Cody can do it. I was like, oh, okay. Well, then why don't we go take 2 songs from the 2 records that we did? We'll wipe my vocal out, and we'll put your vocal in.
All right.
And he did that. And I was like, wow, it sounds really good. And then I think it was more of him finding himself and him finding where he needed to be vocally and what he was going to do and what sounded a lot like me. But again, listen to it. He does a lot of low stuff, that I don't do,
Mm-hmm.
And so I think I went and saw him live when we came back from Europe around first week of April, and I was just completely impressed with him as a front man and a stage commander, and he knows what he's doing. And I think there's another song in the next week or two called Frankenstein Must Be Destroyed is coming out. So they're ready to do a record. They have the songs there. I think the transition period was a bit not knowing what was going to happen with me, not knowing what they were going to do with that. But I think that the transition period has actually really worked out for them, and they're full force now. And so every show they just played with Suicidal at Extreme Fest in Stockton, California last Saturday night, and I mean they just kill it every time they play. So very proud of them. They're coming. They're definitely holding the torch.
Very cool, man. Now, one of the things that you said, I'm going to stay away from Exodus just for a second, then we'll come back, but you said a few months ago in the press that people were going to be very surprised with the new Metallica record. And obviously last week we got the new single, and everybody was very surprised at, how heavy and old school it was. Do you think, you as somebody that, knows those guys somewhat and, obviously are a core member of this scene, do you think a band like a Metallica that has changed their identity from their earliest roots is capable of winning back the hardcores that they sort of lost when they changed their identity?
The problem is with anything in life that you do is there's ups and downs and lull periods, and you do things, and everything is sign of the times, kind of.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And you have to give it to them for staying relevant forever.
Right.
And for whatever they can. Was I a big fan of Sanganger? Not necessarily. The snare tone that they chose. I think if they thought that they overthought their steps, whatever was going on, as Death Magnetic came in, I think you could see that that they've done everything that they knew that they could do, and it was okay to be that again. Look, Testament's done it, Anthrax has done it, Megadeth's done it, Exodus has kept it up. Why not? You know what I mean? And so I knew we played a couple of festivals with them last year. And I had a great, kind of cool conversation with James, and I felt through that conversation, and we talked to Kirk, and it was really cool to see them in that light, and I hadn't seen them in years. Actually, I'd seen Kirk when I just got back in the band because we played one of his Horror Fest things, but I really got to kind of talk to James, and I feel that conversation made me confident that he knew what it was, who cares at this point, what it's all about, because, we all went to watch Creator together, and here's a guy who's there, he's like, hey, let's go watch Creator, they're on right now. It's like, yeah, let's go watch Creator.
Nice.
And here's a guy who's not forgot that, and so my sixth sense was like, if you were to ask me what they're going to put out, they're going to come out swinging, and that's just what I felt off of the experience I had last summer, and that's why I made those comments like that, I guess.
Sure.
And I felt that, and then the song came out, and everybody's like, damn, you kind of nailed it. I'm like, it was just something like, as a fan, like James is a fan, he's a metal fan, obviously. They all are,
Mm-hmm.
We all come from the same school of Thin Lizzy and Blackmore and UFO and Shanker and Scorpions and Motorhead and those sort of things, and then all that's happened, there's nothing left but the music, and why wouldn't you? What do you got to lose at this point? And I felt that was kind of how just a couple of days we kind of played with them. I felt that was the vibe I thought.
Sure. And for those guys, you got to think it's got to be tough for them to, they can't look at any other band and say, okay, well, that's working for them. Maybe we should do that as well, because they're the biggest. They're the.
I don't think they ever look. Honestly, I don't think they do that.
Yeah.
They do what they want to do, and they can. And I that's what you have to respect about that band. That's always been the way they do it. It's not like, well, everybody's kind of doing like Dystopia is like so heavy now. Let's just go back and be heavy again. You know what I mean? I don't think that that's the mentality. I just think that, again, history has a funny way of recycling itself,
right?
Kind of a little bit, and it cleanses itself every once in a while, but it stays the same, if that makes sense. And I feel that they were going to, I knew they would capture it in this time. I just felt it. And I felt so much on Death Magnetic. There's really great stuff. I think it's a great record. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I like the songs on that album. And then it was something I had a vibe about if you were to ask me, and then what I felt, that's where I came with that conclusion, actually.
Very cool. Now, Zet, you guys are all in your 50s and maybe even 60s?
I'm 52. Yes, I'm 52.
So is everybody in the band in their 50s, or are there any 60s in there yet?
No, Gary and I are the oldest.
Okay.
So that's where it sits right there. So, yeah, Tom's right behind at, I think, 51. Lee's around 48 or 49. Jack's 47 or 48. Everybody's like kind of right there.
Right. So where is it that you guys are finding that fire every single night to still be hitting it? And I'll say it, you guys are hitting it harder than when I saw you in 1980, whatever it was. You guys are much more vicious and fierce than ever before. I mean, is it just the music? Is it just, the vibe? What is it that gives you guys that much energy? Because I can speak for me. I'm not getting in the mosh pit anymore. I'm 47.
No, I don't either. I say this of the later years. I'll incite the riot, but I'm not becoming a part of it.
Right.
I think it's to me, I've always been an athlete. Everybody knows the Raiders, the A's, the Flames. I love sports. I'm not any type that. I think everybody in the band is the same way. And I think it's the competitiveness of each other. And it's also the love of what you do, and it's also the love that the type of music you get to play. Think about this. Rock and roll started out with one guy shaking his leg. And, man, they wouldn't even show it on television. You know what I mean?
Right.
And that was the rebellious nature of the where the music started. And I think you've got stuff that's called rock music that they just stand there and look at it. And I think when it comes to heavy metal or thrash metal especially, the crowd is still jumping and jiving in the crowd their own way, and it's still the same. And I think that feeds it. And if you're not giving it that much effort or that energy, you're not, doing your job, and it's thrash metal. So you're not going to go out there and stand right. You better go out there and give it, and you better, you're preaching the violence, then be violence. You know what I mean? You're preaching, let's go crazy, then be crazy. So bang your head. This is the music you create. Do it, and that's what you do. And I think that every one of us are like, we want to be great. We want to sound the best we can sound, and we want to be the best we can be, and it doesn't matter that, well, the gig will be good if there's a killer party and chicks and coke and everything else out there. There's none of that involved anymore. It's all about the performance. So I think that we narrowed it down like, yeah, we kick ass now. I go out there every night going, more or less, give me the ball. I want the ball. Give me the ball. I'll bring it over the line. I will score every night. Give me the ball. And that's the mentality.
Excellent, man. Well, dude, you guys have been delivering it for 2 years with Blood In, Blood Out. I personally am looking forward to you guys getting off the road so that you can get us a new record, because it's definitely time. But
we know that.
For now, where can people look to find out what's going on with the band and all that good stuff?
Always go to ExodusAttack.com or any of the Facebook, because everybody does Facebook, so /Facebook. You can always go there. I do Instagram. I'm at Zetro, and a lot of the stuff we do is pretty much I put on there because I think it's definitely, it's what you should do. I mean, you want to touch with your fans, and anybody can. And I read all the comments that people give back to me, and I listen to what they say, and I want them, and it's kind of part of me touching with them, and it's just anywhere you can always find it. If you're not under a rock in the world today, you can find anything. Just turn on that damn computer.
Exactly, dude. Well, Zet, it's always great to talk to you, my friend. And as a tradition on the show, we always let the artist pick a closing track and tell us a quick story about it. So, what do you want to wrap this with?
I want to pay homage to Dio
All right.
in this one, and you got to play "Kill the King" by Rainbow.
All right.
My favorite hard rock and heavy metal song of all time.
All right. Well, let's do it here. It is Dio. It's "Kill the King" right here on your Classic Metal Show.